It's the One Podcast.
Be able to evolve. And I think that's the big thing that I've learned is what's working this month may not work 6 months from now. You got to position yourself to change what's coming.
Yeah.
Anybody can do it if you've got the willingness to work hard, go after it. Trying to save a couple $1,000s to keep somebody off your bad side, not worth it. So we made peace. I don't think you can be a hot-tempered person. For being a business owner is not the right tool for you, but you never know.
Are you ready?
So we got another episode of the One Podcast here with Dave Myers. He's a OG original sort of marketer. I have a marketing agency background, Dave, so I'm interested to hear your kind of take on how you got involved in marketing and consulting in the first place. DM Digital obviously is the main company and staffing. Dave, do you want to give a quick intro to our audience of early stage and active entrepreneurs as far as what you do and just your background?
Absolutely.
Great.
And I got into the business back late 1990. Graduated from school as an IT professional for 20 years.
Nice.
I worked for large Fortune 100 companies as a consultant, General Mills, 3M, all the big guys in Minnesota. I lived up there for 20 years. And then 2011, moved back to St. Louis and then started up what was at that point Digital Broiler. We rebranded our company about a year ago to DM Digital, just for name purposes only. And I was in the IT space and working for other people for year after year and hour upon hour. I got tired of it. And decided it was do something on your own. So our journey was a little crazy because I didn't know a lot about marketing at that time. I just knew that everything on the internet was booming. And actually I ran into a gentleman and we started talking about business and stuff, and text marketing was the big thing then that was coming up, right? All your restaurants were sending out text messages and 10% off. And so I thought that was the golden egg. And so got into it here in Missouri, and in about 6 months realized that Missouri wasn't ready for it. The West Coast was doing great. The East Coast was doing great, but the Midwest, not prepared.
Not so good.
So we shifted. We continued some of that, but we got into web development. And as we started becoming very proficient in that, our clients started asking us, can you do other things? And so that morphed us into SEO, social media, and then our newest things that we've been doing probably for the last year that for a client base is really around lead generation, new ways to do it, unique spins on things that other people are doing, and then also VA or virtual assistant staffing services.
Got it. So I have a lot of questions to ask you as far as the agency goes, because I did agency for 6 years, just got out of it, exited last year. And I've worked with a lot of consulting kind of agencies and different ones as well. But to just go back to the beginning here, you mentioned the IT background, wanting to get out of that. Did you always consider entrepreneurial or stuff that you could do on the side? Like, did you have that kind of inkling in you? Or was that something that kind of came out of dissatisfaction from the career in IT?
I think it always was there because as an independent consultant, you're doing your own thing anyway.
Yeah.
The only difference was that I always worked through other agencies to find the jobs. Whereas as a full transparent owner of an agency, you have to do it all.
Yep.
So it was there. It was that next step from being an independent consultant to building more of a team of people to wrap up and do the processes. So I think it was always there.
Got it. Okay, cool. So at what point did you actually, so you mentioned just like when you started the company to begin with, did you queue up some clients or did you have some services in mind from the work that you were doing? Were you learning marketing just from scratch? Walk me through like the first 30, 60 days.
Yeah, it literally was from scratch. I'll be honest. As a developer previously, I knew enough technology that I knew it wouldn't be
You can
that.
figure it out. Yeah. Marketing's not that
Figure
hard
it
if you've
out.
been doing
That's
development.
right. That's totally right. And so I figured, you know what? And there's so many platforms. Once I started doing WordPress websites on my own, got familiar
Nice.
with that. And then that involved the other things. And then when I realized that I didn't want to sit around and program and do website design all day, it was time to hire some new people. So we evolved, and then I said, put good people around you and you'll be successful. And that's really what we've done.
Got it. You mentioned just like getting it. Was website development, that was like how you entered the game, so to speak? That was like the first service that you're offering?
Yeah, it just seemed like the most logical thing.
I think it is for most people, yeah. And
So
back then, nobody had a website too, right? When you started the
That's
company?
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Everything was going mobile. And
Got it.
actually, that's where we started when I think back. Everybody had a website, but everything wasn't really in the responsive mode yet. So they were building all these, they looked like an app, right? It was a mobile, it had all the little buttons, 9 buttons across, call, look at your menu, do all these things. And so that's what sort of morphed us into, probably ought to get into the front end of the website as well as the mobile piece. And then that thing started to become responsive and different things. So things became a little bit easier.
Did you develop like a particular niche or like type of company that you were working with, or just gravitated towards?
In the beginning, it was restaurants. We did a lot of work with restaurants.
Got it.
And the reason then was, again, everybody was mobile. They wanted to be able to see it on their device. And then after a while, realized that they didn't really have much money. So budgets were always very small. And then we decided to go find people that had budgets that can afford services and do it the right way.
Got it. So are these like mom and pop restaurants, food and beverage, or are we talking big chains? Like how quickly are these are local?
Yeah, it was mostly the mom and pops, the smaller ones. I mean, the chain restaurants.
That's how you have to get in. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. So you have to get into it anyway, just working with the smaller ones. But I guess how quickly are you expanding to bigger companies, or when does a pivot happen where you're expanding into like more general marketing services, SEO, that type of stuff?
I think it's probably
Are they
about,
requesting it?
yeah, they started asking for it. I'd say it was probably around that year mark. We had our feet under us and we had dabbled in different things. And so we were much more comfortable at that point. But yeah, the evolution seemed to be help them with their website. Then all of a sudden they couldn't find themselves online. How do we get there? How do we get in front of people? So that led us into everything from SEO to paid ads to lead generation at that point.
So what is the team structure look like in terms of people you're hiring? Like how do you actually set up the agency from an ops perspective?
So we have one person on staff, me. I've got 11 1099 people that work with me. Some in the United States, a few in the Philippines. So really I put together a group of people that was available, could, jump into most projects. We've built the team out that large simply because we've gotten enough to the point where we've got enough projects that we have to manage them. And there's ongoing support. There's SEO work going on every month. There's generally a new website here. And then there's traditionally multiple multiple lead generation products going on. And then our staffing services by themselves, and it's its own division that, because it's growing, has really propelled us.
Got it. I do want to talk about the particularly the staffing stuff. And I've had some clients who have done staffing, and I've always just been curious about the dynamics of that business model and who's actually like interested in it and how difficult it is. We've had difficulty, or my agency had difficulty marketing a few staffing companies that had certain niches. But in any case, so I guess typical sort of agency question, but are you dealing with over this sort of time period issues as far as like work quality, clients getting upset about results, the pricing, you know what I'm saying? What kind of issues are you dealing with? What are the challenges?
Yeah, I think it's the normal obstacles. And you get people that you provide services, and I always say SEO is the black hole, right? Nope.
Right.
Nobody knows what they're getting. They don't want to pay for it, yet they want it to happen. It's
Yeah.
always, and it's not just us. It's all, I think it's all SEO.
Everybody. Yeah.
They, it's a long-term play that has to happen, in my opinion, if you have a website. But it's hard to report back to a client and say, hey, you've got 25 people that found you because of what we're doing. It's challenging. Yeah, they don't want to hear that. And so that's probably one of the biggest things. You always run into unhappy customers. We do our best to a client success manager that tries to stay in touch with everybody and head off problems before they happen. I think that's been something that's really helped our agency. Has had somebody in that middle always staying in touch with the client, not just start the project and not talk to them for 6 months. Reporting, in my opinion, is a huge thing. So we provide reporting to them every month, no matter what type of project we're doing, whether it's SEO, lead generation, staffing. They always see something from us, and they always have the ability to schedule a time and a meeting with us if they want to talk about it in more depth. Yeah, works really well.
So I guess with that type of clientele, it seems like you're working with the reputation management, I guess, is a big deal, especially with how long you've been in business. You mentioned like the customer kind of success manager. How have you managed things like reviews online? Do you know what I'm saying? Case studies, referrals, just like getting that kind of reputation out there.
We try. It's our industry is, I think, a little different in terms of that. Do our best to try to get a video testimonial from everyone.
That was a big thing for me too. But the video testimonial, I feel it's way more real, right, than your little Yelp.
It is.
Or Google.
I can go create 20 of those and nobody knows any different. Well, I don't hold a ton of preference to the Google reviews, Facebook reviews. They're important, but it just, to me, the video testimonial is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
So our goal is to, every time we have a client, 3 or 4 months in, assuming everything's going well, we ask them for a video testimonial. Most of them will do it, some won't. But that's what we're trying to do. And I think that, to me, is that's been a big key, because we've had people that have been on the fence, and we send them those and they review them and they're like, okay, we get it. And then we're good. And a lot of people, they want to talk to somebody. Look, everybody can't 20 minutes out of their day to, have 20-minute conversations with people for referrals. This really takes that out of it in my world, I think. And it's really helped out.
Yeah. I'm interested in what that learning curve is. How to, not having done an agency or work for an agency, just developing that eye for customer success and managing that. I had an issue once where I had like a client leave a bad Google review where it just wasn't a good fit for the client. I ended up having to give them like 10 grand back or something, because I just like really wanted to get rid of that review. But like, how do you actually learn or keep a kind of calm mind? You know what I'm saying? Like what kind of mindset do you have to have that longevity?
Yeah, you gotta have some diplomacy, I think, at times. We had a similar instance with a group that we were providing everything that was in the statement of work, but yet he was still unhappy. And then decided all of a sudden that he was done. It's okay. That's fine. Then I'm like, but our contract says we need 30 days, not 2 days before the next invoice. So we got into a riff about it a little bit. And so he did exactly what you said. He went out, he put a total negative review that was complete BS. And forced me as an owner to my tongue and say, okay, we won't charge you the next month, even though the contract says we should. But that also impedes the fact that review comes down. And he held to his word. We did what we said. He did what he said, and we took care of it. And I think some people would have gone down the path of contract and into lawyers and all that. For me, as a small business owner, that's not worth it. Trying to save a couple $1,000 to keep somebody off your bad side, not worth it. So we make peace. But I do think you have some bit of calmness. I don't think you can be a hot tempered person and every time something goes wrong.
That's the issue. Yeah, exactly.
And if you have that, for being a business owner is not the right tool for you, but
Yeah.
you never know.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that yeah, I identify with that a lot. But do you still recommend that like an agency owner have a contract with that 30-day opt out or like late penalty fees and stuff like that to disincentivize that behavior?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And we've revised our contracts and it's explicit. It says 30-day notice or the next payment, if there's one due, is due, and then you're out. But
You can't.
they're so hard to uphold in a court of law, theoretically.
You can't. Yeah. Let's.
But it's principle. I go in most of this stuff in principle. We don't do any long-term contracts. All of our stuff, even our SEO projects, they're month to month, even though we suggest it's got to be 6 months or more.
Yeah.
And most people stay, but we do month to month because we believe in what we're doing. I think that's important too. And because of that, the 30-day clause out needs to be there. Can't start and then in 24 days go, oh, it's not working for me, I'm out. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work like it.
Yeah. I think I found that charging upfront sometimes. I also never really did the 6 or 12-month contract, but sometimes you could like charge up front for a 3 to 6 month period or just collect maybe with a price incentive. That's a way to mitigate the risk. But at the end of the day, it does come down to the service and they're really looking at it month to month, even if you have a contract. And I don't know anybody who's like successfully sued for collection of a contract, you know what I'm saying, or been able to get money off that. But
It costs more to hire that person to do it.
Oh yeah. So I mean, what? Yeah, exactly. So what kind of lessons do you have from hiring, and how did that kind of how did you get into the staff?
Yeah, we got into the staffing because I hired some people to do stuff for me. And as we got into it, one of the guys that works for me now full time, he came from the staffing world, and he said, "There's good money in this if you know what you're doing and you have a pool of people that you can get to." And so we kicked it around for 2 or 3 months, and we decided we'd dabble in it, and we've been able to place quite a few people just in a 6-month period. And yeah, I think the big thing about it is we do it a little different, I think, than others. A lot of them will say, okay, I need an executive assistant. Okay. And they'll provide one to you. If it doesn't work out, they'll swap them out, put in a new one. We take a little different approach. And I can't speak for all VA staffing services, but from what I've seen, we will bring in 3 or 4 candidates to let the client interview them and decide which one that he wants to have. By doing that, ironically, we've actually ended up upselling a little bit because they'll say, oh, hey, I like both of these guys. I could use this one here and this one over here. So it's really been a unique situation. We offer different packages. It can be 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week, 40 hours a week, depending on what they need. Again, everybody that we bring in generally is from the Philippines, is where we get our people. We do have a few from overseas that are more developers. We'll pull sometimes from Pakistan, people that aren't front facing to them. But we position them and then the client works with them directly. And when they need more people or something else, they'll call us and we'll do it again. It's been a great model.
What's is that a different audience than your clients, or is it the same kind of client base that's working with the digital market?
It's a little of both. We have clients that we do services for that have hired a VA as well to do other things. We've had other clients, whether they're real estate agents, coaches, consultants, people like that just need somebody like an executive assistant to help them manage and set up meetings. Those are great. CPAs, lawyers, Actually, just about any. We found, I think, sweet spots that call centers are great places that we've run into where we can get 8 or 10 people in a call center sometimes, so they just need people to call them. So it's just a matter of a lot of it's timing. If the need's there and they don't want to pay a big salary to somebody to sit there, a lot more cost effective.
Yeah.
No long-term contracts. We generally will suggest 3 months as it takes a little bit to get them up to speed and all that thing. And then after that, it's month to month, but that's generally how we've been doing it.
What's your pricing model on that? Or like
Pricing
how
model
do you
per
charge
hour.
for it?
Per hour. It starts roughly at $10 an hour for just a general VA.
Got it.
And as they get more specialties, it goes up. About the highest is probably 25 to 35 if you need a big skilled developer, somebody like that potentially. But most of the stuff we position are in that $10 to $17 an hour probably.
And your margin is baked into that somehow. Cool. What other sort of hot niches have you got it into? You mentioned like lead gen at the beginning.
Yeah, lead gen, we do. So we've got a couple different programs we do. We've got one we call our mastermind circle, which is where we try to get a group of people together for clients. We get them, we verify who they are. And then we try to put those like-minded people in a room with a client that wants to about their expertise or whatever. And then generally we'll see 25 to 50% of those people in the room turn into one-on-one meetings that turn into potential clients for them. It just gives them a better chance. Like 1 hour they're doing presentation, then 8 hours of people in the room. And they really like. Got others that
I've heard a lot of success with that. Yeah, if people tell me
it's been great. Once they see it work, then they just repeat and repeat. I call it. They just let's do another one. Let's do another one. Let's do another one. And we sell it one by the number of leads. We've got 3 different packages that we do. It's been a very fruitful for us and the clients.
So I guess, what are your current objectives with business? Are you trying to like scale to a certain amount, sell the business, God forbid? What's the kind of, what trajectory are you on right now?
We're in growth mode right now, where our goal is to double this year. We're roughly around 40 to 50,000 a month on recurring revenues. My ultimate goal is to get to 100,000 a month.
Yeah.
I think now with the new lead gen, the staffing services, I think we're on a trajectory to get there.
Yeah.
And very excited about it. Don't have any specific reason to sell it at this point, but it's always out there if the right thing came along. But we'll sell it and start over.
Nice. Cool.
Well, like the idea of building a nest egg and be able to.
Of course. And that 100K a month, that's like the seal, that's the ceiling to break for most agencies.
Right.
Or just that arbitrary goal. But cool. So I guess, what are some pieces of kind of advice, like closing things out? Just what's the biggest piece of advice that you have for somebody who's starting an agency? Maybe is fed up with their IT role and they want to start an agency. What kind of advice do you have for them?
Sure. Yeah. I think you've got to be ready. I think you've got to want to have a goal to reach. I think the idea behind that is, my goal was always to work for myself, dictate my own schedules, be able to get to all my kids' events. And that was very important for me. And fortunately it worked out. I think you got to be willing to go through the ups and the downs because it doesn't all trajectory up right out of the gate. We've certainly had ups and downs and been times when we thought this was never going to work, but we held in there. We kept the course and be able to evolve. And I think that's the big thing that I've learned is what's working this month may not work 6 months from now. And you got to position yourself
You have to change
what's coming.
Yeah.
If you can do that and stay a little bit ahead of the curve before somebody else gets there, or find a specific niche that works for you, anybody can do it if they've got in my opinion, if you've got the willingness to work hard, go after it, it can be done.
Well,
Keep people around you.
yeah, that's a underestimated piece, I think.
Yes, you can't do it all yourself. I tried, and gotta have a team. It's eventually you gotta have a team of people you can delegate.
Yeah, you just can't scale without it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's a very good point. Cool. Where can people, what are some things that you want to like direct people to, or if they're a business that's looking for all around marketing, how do they get in touch with you and how do they work with you?
Like, go to our website, which is dmvigi.io. And our phone number, if they want to go there, is 636-388-585. Those are the best two ways to get a hold of me.
And random side question, is the DM for Dave Myers or digital marketing?
It serves both purposes.
Perfect. All right, Dave, thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it.